Hello, fellow crazies on the interwebs. Possible unpopular opinion, but there's protecting your peace and there's weaponizing peace. Disclaimer, I am not professionally trained to be trauma informed, and this video isn't directed towards anyone who's best served to work with a trauma trained professional where being detached might actually be a useful strategy in your toolkit. Anyways, for some cases, retreating and detaching from harmful situations or ideas can be immensely healing, and I genuinely believe there is a time and place to be detached. It has served me dramatically well in the past when I've hit rock bottom. So I'm not here to downplay that. This video is aimed at people who use protecting their peace as an excuse to act like a jackass. There's nothing wrong with creating an environment where you aren't triggered. The potential cost is testing whether or not you can still be at peace regardless of the situation. I have close to 18 years of Zen and meditation behind me at this point, and I've seen this run amok in meditative circles for ages by now. I'm going to share the pitfalls I've seen and gone through myself that the mainstream seems to be adopting without the proper warnings of detaching all willy-nilly. And while Zen detachment isn't one-to-one with what I've been witnessing, it is all eerily too similar. There's a phrase in Zen, being drunk on emptiness, which is a hyperbolic phrase for spiritual bypassing. To make it simple without the woo-woo vocabulary, being drunk on emptiness is detaching yourself from anything and everything, but detached in a non-depressed way. In Zen, empty is not a negative word. If I use the word empty, it's more neutral than negative. Like how zero means an absence of numbers, neither positive or a negative. Does that make sense? This isn't the nihilistic, "Ugh, there's no meaning, that's so depressing. I need a reason in order to make sure what I'm doing is meaningful." Drunk on emptiness feels more like there's no inherent meaning to anything. There are things I don't agree with, I'm going to ignore it entirely. It's a lot more nuanced than that, but that would drag this video close to an hour, and I'm not going to waste your time with that. Basically, if something doesn't make you feel good, you avoid it. But calling it spiritual bypassing would be more accurate, as drunk on emptiness tends to come with a lot more euphoria, like an alcoholic who's blissed out of their mind but avoids any and all accountability that could sober them up from that euphoric stupor. And I don't think most people who are detached or trying to become detached are experiencing the bliss the phrase is referencing. I see it a lot online, especially when it comes to everyone's favorite subject, relationships. Detached and protect your peace. People are bothering you in ways you don't agree with. Just become detached and isolate yourself. Or worse, be a partner or a friend or whatever who's already checked out. The house may be on fire, but you're too detached to care about anything. Protect your peace, babe. Become so uncaring that nothing bothers you anymore. But I'm going to argue it's not a bad thing if you can be bothered. Like, I applaud anyone who's willing to be hurt enough to give a crap about something in their life. Could you imagine a detached parent? Oh, little Jimmy crosses the street without looking both ways in the busy city streets. Well, Jimmy is almost 1 year old now. He can take care of himself. Should I tell him to stop poking Sarah with a pencil in class? It's not my problem to deal with. They would raise an absolute monster. And as an ex-substitute teacher, I understand the burnout from caring too much and not being able to do as much as you wish you could. But needing to distance yourself from a situation doesn't mean you have to give up your ability to give a damn. We need our own sense of boundaries to keep us safe and prevent us from walking the edge of burnout. But boundaries are here to communicate our limits and ask for our autonomy to be acknowledged, not to create walls that make it impossible for us to cultivate genuine connections. Healthy boundaries are about self-respect, not about control. Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's a difference between stop being annoying or you need to get the out of here and hey, I don't feel seen. We don't take me saying no seriously. I'm not going to keep myself in a situation where my words aren't respected. The first one's about controlling another person to be who you want them to be. It's a demand where it's my way or the highway. The second is you communicating what is or isn't appropriate behavior for you, and you will take the appropriate steps to keep your dignity intact, and you respond accordingly to if the other person reciprocates the request or not. It's non-aggressive, but it is assertive. Coincidentally, someone who's aggressive might have an easier time wanting change than someone who's numbed out and detached completely. If you're angry about something, the anger can bother you enough for you to realize there's a problem. If you're detached, you don't care enough to realize you have a problem, which is why dealing with someone who's drunk on emptiness is such a pain, because in no way, shape, or form can you convince them that they have a problem. They're too enlightened to be wrong. Who's going to realize there's a potential solution to their unhappiness? Someone who's just, whatever, it's no big deal, man, just forget about it and move on. Or someone who's tired of being angry, tired of fighting, tired of feeling like they're constantly drained and entertains the possibility, you know what, things could be different. If you're attached, your feelings will most likely feel like an emotional roller coaster. It's exhausting, but if you're detached, it's closer to a flat line, usually on the bottom spectrum of happiness. You know why? If you were happy, you wouldn't feel the need to detach in the first place. And you know what else is a flat line? The heart rate of the deceased. The cost of misusing detachment is becoming the walking dead. You've basically made yourself a zombie. I'm not going to go all in and say detaching is completely bad. It has its uses too. Sometimes things genuinely are too much for us to handle, and distance is exactly what we need to ground ourselves. But distance doesn't mean disconnected. Distance would be needing space to cool off before a heated discussion with your partner. Disconnection is leaving them high and dry to deal with it on their own. You've got your peace to protect. If you aren't someone who knows how to regulate your emotions, detachment becomes a defense mechanism to avoid feeling your emotions. I'm not saying this as a judgment call. It's not your fault life taught your nervous system this is the only way to keep you safe. The last person I gave my heart to has PTSD, kicked me out of her life in the snap of a finger, no buildup, completely blindsided. And I wish only the best for her. There were years in my life I wanted to end it, and the only way for me to wake up the next day was by detaching myself from everything so I wasn't so overwhelmed all the time. So I have no ill will for anyone who feels the need to detach. Most of us were literally never taught how to safely regulate our emotions so we don't become consumed by them. I wouldn't be surprised if most people who wish to become detached are doing so because they lean too far into the other direction. There are probably people who cared far too much for far too long. So instead of being taught how to find equilibrium, they simply cut off the source of their pain. The problem is, the source of their pain is also the source of their strength. That's the problem with detachment. I hope I don't come off as too negative in this video. I genuinely want this to be helpful, not spiteful. Before I took my Zen practice seriously in the everyday world, I did everything in my power to protect my peace, as they say. When I first started to feel a deep sense of peace from my Zen practice, I was confused how this didn't translate to my everyday bumblings with the world and general interactions with people. In my meditation cushion, I felt completely and utterly unbothered. But as soon as someone shared an opinion I didn't agree with, my mind would go, how could someone be so fucking stupid? Well, it wasn't that harsh. I'm trying to create dramatic effects so it leaves a better impact for the viewer, but it was in that general ballpark. It's a lot lighter in tone. I obviously never expressed anything like that out loud, but it sure felt just as heavy as, what kind of fucking idiot are you to believe that? But knowing that sense of peace lit something up within me, I began to wonder, what are the barriers or unconscious defense mechanisms preventing me from leaning into a situation fully to my current ability and still stay connected to that inner sense of okayness, regardless of the situation I'm in is dysregulating or not? And there's nothing wrong with needing your own space or not having any interest at the time where you actively do not want to expand your comfort zone. Sometimes we truly are invited to take refuge and rest. Rest from the world, rest from the chaos. But if that's all you care about, guess what? You aren't detached. You're attached to peace. What people don't realize is being attached to heaven is just as disruptive as being attached to hell. I don't remember the name of the person who said that, my bad. But that's basically the thesis of my video. Maybe you've heard the phrase, the middle way? The mainstream use of that word just means to find the middle or most balanced way, but that's a deeply rudimentary way to use that concept. I'm going to try my best to explain it to the layperson with no prior Zen knowledge. We're going to use three specific words: attachment, non attachment, and detachment. Spoilers, but non attachment is the middle way. I don't know why I flipped you off. To attach is to either go towards something or bring something closer to you. We're not just talking about physical objects here. They can be people or even ideas. To attach to a person is simple. Anxiously attached people would fit this criteria. It's needing someone to always be there for you at the behest of what they want. Like Jill, who needs her partner there with her when she's outside, or else she feels panicked. And if her partner doesn't comply, she can have a complete meltdown, using her dysregulation or lack of peace as ammo to manipulate her partner into submitting. I don't think this form of attachment requires much of an explanation. To attach to an idea is to believe an idea as absolute. This one is far trickier to catch onto. A simple idea would be people are inherently bad, or people are inherently good. Are they? Well, no matter what you think, or whatever the statistics say, you're referencing an idea in your mind instead of seeing it right in front of you with your own eyes. Your direct experience, one might say. Or something more emotionally charged like all men are pigs or all women are gold diggers. You end up only paying attention to examples that affirm your beliefs, so that's all you'll ever remember. Men being perverts and women who don't do any financial lifting. To keep up with an earlier example, you can just be, my child can't say no to me because I'm the parent and parents know best. That's attachment. Detachment is its opposite. You reject an idea. People can't be inherently bad or people can't be inherently good. Men can't be gentlemen or women can't be the financially gracious ones. Honestly, to attach to something, you have to detach from something else and vice versa. They're two sides of the same coin, really. But to give a more concrete example of detachment in action, a parent believes, I don't care about what my child does because I'm not involved in their life at all. Also, I think the milk I went out to get is about to expire. Hold up. Let me go to the store and get another one. See you never. Detachment is pushing away anything you disagree with. Hello, avoidance. Pushing people away at the slightest sign of discomfort. Whether you're attached or detached, you will believe the ideas you agree with and reject the ideas you disagree with, whether or not they're true. And here's a hint. No belief is inherently true, but having any belief isn't inherently false either. They're all inherently empty. Non-attachment is different. This isn't about seeing too much or too little and looking in the middle for just right. It's finding the just right in the exact situation you're already in. Sorry, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I love you, but you've only kinda almost got non-attachment correct. To be able to describe something such as life so absolutely would do it a disservice. It's not about shrinking the universe to something so simple words could encapsulate the entire thing. That's what a belief is. Non-attachment is perceiving things as they are in that moment and making a decision from there instead of from a mental interpretation of what you think it is. That means seeing the world and the people just as they are, not how you want them to be. And that includes you too. Seeing yourself just as you are and not how you should be. Non-attachment is something without an opposite. It's all inclusive. People can behave terribly. People can behave wonderfully. Men can behave perversely. Men can behave wonderfully. Women can behave financially parasitically. Women can behave wonderfully. Doesn't matter, Lee. What matters is taking in the input right in front of your eyes and not being blinded by a belief you either attach to or reject. My child is welcome to voice their opinion, and I've got to parent them into being a well-adjusted adult. Involved, but not a tyrant. Distant, but not disconnected. Non-attachment is extremely simple and non-assuming, akin to the Taoist expression of Wu Wei, which just means effortless effort. This too shall pass. We've all heard it. Sadly, it's sort of devolved into a sort of pop psychology with its full meaning being brushed under the rug for its real definition doesn't fit the mold of toxic positivity. A video I'd like to delve into in the future. Often the advice is given to us so we don't attach to the hell we're experiencing. But not being attached to heaven applies to this phrase too. Even your most pleasurable experiences are temporary, lest you corrupt them into an addiction, like a food addiction, sex addiction, unhealthy codependency, or just about anything your mind can imagine. To be non-attached isn't to be numb or have no preferences. Indulging your feelings is attachment to your feelings. That's what unhealthy rage, depression, or hooked on pleasures is. To unleash your wrath, make yourself a victim, or always seeking your next dopamine hit. All forms being attached to attachment. Denying your feelings is detachment from yourself. You're numb to everything completely. To turn a blind eye to them isn't getting rid of them. Your room can be a complete and utter mess, but closing your eyes doesn't fix the problem. You've just chosen to be unaware of the travesty to keep your peace. Be true to your feelings without exacerbating them is non-attachment. You're no longer afraid to hold space for healthy amounts of anger. Sadness is no longer something you run away from. And you can let go of your abuse of pleasure by no longer needing another hit to fill the void. This is what it means to empty your mind. Non-attachment is a very scary, extremely vulnerable place to be, where you're connected enough to your true feelings that you can express and ask for what you want, not what your defense mechanism is scaring you into bartering for. And there's nothing wrong with that either. The only reason you're on the defensive is because the only thing that feels safe right now is retaliation, dissociation. And we do need a safe space in order to have access to this place. Thankfully, you don't need the outside to be at peace to feel regulated. You can look within to find this oasis. That's for another video down the line. This is gonna take this requires a whole nother completely long video. I've planned out the topics I want to get to, and it's pretty far down the list, but I'll get there eventually. So feel free to like and subscribe for more everyday topics under a Zen lens. There's some video ideas if you like my perspective on them. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed your stay here. Thanks for spending time with me. Love you.